Welcome to this essential training on SQL injection, one of the oldest yet most persistent web vulnerabilities. In the digital age, our lives are increasingly intertwined with online applications, all powered by databases. These databases hold our personal information, financial data, and critical business records. But what if a single, poorly secured input box could expose all of it? That's the reality of SQL injection. With just a few malicious queries, attackers can steal data, bypass logins, or even take over entire databases. This session will equip you with a fundamental understanding of this threat and how to defend against it. At its core, SQL injection, or SQLi, is a code injection technique used to attack data-driven applications. It exploits vulnerabilities in an application's software, specifically when user-supplied input is not properly validated or sanitized. This allows an attacker to interfere with the queries an application makes to its database. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, the standard language used to communicate with and manage relational databases. When you interact with a website, like logging in or searching for a product, the application often constructs SQL queries based on your input. These queries are then sent to the database to retrieve or modify information. A database is like a highly organized digital filing cabinet. It stores vast amounts of information in tables, rows, and columns. SQL queries are the instructions that tell the database what to do, whether it's to find a user's profile, update an order, or add new data. SQL injection works by tricking the application into executing malicious SQL commands. Imagine a login form where you enter your username and password. The application might construct a SQL query like select asterisk from users where username equals sign your username and password equals sign your password. If your input is directly inserted into this query without proper handling, an attacker can manipulate it. Instead of a username, an attacker might input something like admin or 1 equals sign 1. When this malicious string is inserted into the query, it transforms into select asterisk from users where username equals sign admin or 1 equals sign 1 and password equals sign your underscore password. The 1 equals sign 1 part is always true, effectively bypassing the password check and granting access. This is a classic example of authentication bypass. Beyond login bypass, attackers can use SQLi to extract sensitive data. By injecting commands like union select or order by, they can force the database to reveal table names, column names, and ultimately the data within those tables. This can include credit card numbers, personal identifiable information, or confidential business records. In more advanced scenarios, SQLi can lead to remote code execution. If the database system has certain configurations or extensions, an attacker might be able to write files to the server or even execute operating system commands. This can result in a complete compromise of the server hosting the application and database. The consequences of SQL injection attacks can be devastating, ranging from data breaches to complete system takeovers. Many high-profile organizations have fallen victim to SQLi, demonstrating its persistent threat. These attacks often lead to significant financial losses, reputational damage, and legal repercussions. One notable incident involved the Heartland Payment Systems breach in 2008, where SQL injection was a key vector. This attack compromised over 130 million credit card numbers, leading to massive financial losses and a severe blow to the company's reputation. It highlighted the critical need for robust security measures in payment processing. Another example is the attack on Sony Pictures in 2011. Attackers used SQL injection to access and steal over 77 million PlayStation Network user accounts, including names, addresses, and credit card details. This incident caused widespread outrage and forced Sony to temporarily shut down its network, incurring substantial costs and customer distrust. Even government agencies and critical infrastructure have been targeted. SQLi can be used to deface websites, disrupt services, or even gain access to sensitive national security information. The potential for widespread disruption and harm makes SQL injection a top concern for cybersecurity professionals globally. The fundamental reason SQL injection remains a threat is poor security practices, primarily on the developer's side. The vulnerability arises when applications directly concatenate user input into SQL queries without proper validation or sanitization. This creates a dangerous pathway for malicious code to be interpreted as part of the legitimate query. Many developers, especially those new to web development, might not fully grasp the security implications of direct string concatenation. They might assume that user input will always be benign, or they might not be aware of the specific techniques attackers use to manipulate queries. This lack of awareness is a significant contributing factor. Legacy systems also pose a considerable challenge. Older applications might have been developed before SQL injection was widely understood or before robust prevention mechanisms were readily available. Updating these systems can be complex and costly, leaving them vulnerable to modern attack techniques. Furthermore, the complexity of modern web applications can introduce new vulnerabilities. With multiple layers, third-party integrations, and diverse data sources, it becomes harder to ensure that every single input point is adequately secured. A single oversight can create an entry point for an attacker. Fortunately, effective defenses against SQL injection exist and are widely adopted by secure development practices. The primary goal of these defenses is to ensure that user input is never interpreted as executable SQL code. Implementing these measures is crucial for any application handling user data. The most effective defense is the use of prepared statements with parameterized queries. Instead of directly inserting user input into the SQL string, prepared statements separate the SQL code from the user-supplied data. The database engine then understands that the input is data, not code, preventing any malicious commands from being executed. This method is the gold standard for preventing SQLi. Another critical defense is input validation. This involves rigorously checking all user input to ensure it conforms to expected formats and types. For example, if an input field expects a number, validate that only numeric characters are entered. This can involve whitelisting allowed characters, blacklisting known malicious patterns, or sanitizing input by removing or encoding special characters. Least privilege is also a vital security principle. Database users should only have the minimum necessary permissions to perform their functions. For instance, a web application user should not have administrative privileges on the database. This limits the damage an attacker can do even if they manage to inject some malicious code. Finally, web application firewalls, or WAFs, provide an additional layer of defense. A WAF sits in front of a web application and monitors incoming and outgoing HTTP traffic. It can detect and block common web attacks, including SQL injection attempts, by analyzing traffic patterns and known attack signatures. While not a primary defense, a WAF acts as an important safety net. Despite well-known prevention methods, SQL injection remains a prevalent threat. One reason is the sheer volume of legacy applications that have not been updated or patched. These older systems often form the backbone of critical infrastructure and business operations, making them attractive targets for attackers. Developer education and awareness also play a significant role. While many developers are aware of SQLi, the nuances of secure coding practices are not always universally applied. Time pressures, lack of resources, and insufficient security training can lead to oversights during development. The increasing complexity of modern web applications with their intricate frameworks, APIs, and microservices can introduce new attack surfaces. Even if core components are secure, a misconfigured third-party library or an overlooked integration point can create a vulnerability. Continuous security testing is essential. Furthermore, attackers are constantly evolving their techniques. While basic SQLi is well understood, more sophisticated variants, such as blind SQL injection or second-order SQL injection, can be harder to detect and prevent. These advanced methods require a deeper understanding of database behavior and application logic. SQL injection is a powerful and persistent web vulnerability that can lead to severe consequences. It exploits the fundamental interaction between web applications and their databases, allowing attackers to manipulate queries and gain unauthorized access or steal sensitive data. Understanding how it works is the first step in defending against it. By implementing robust security practices like prepared statements, rigorous input validation, and the principle of least privilege, developers can significantly mitigate the risk of SQLi. For students entering the field of cybersecurity or software development, mastering these defensive techniques is not just beneficial, it is absolutely essential. The digital landscape is constantly evolving, and so are the threats. Staying informed, practicing secure coding, and continuously learning are your best defenses against vulnerabilities like SQL injection. Protect your data, protect your applications, and contribute to a safer online world.